Hey guys, Instructor Pilot Chris here. I usually don't do a whole lot of talking on my videos, primarily because here in Texas it's almost always windy, and even with a mic it comes out garbled and staticky at times. So we got lucky. It's 5 gusting to 9 today, so I'm gonna try audio, and if this doesn't work I'll cover it with music. But today is the maiden flight of the E-flite UMX B-2. So I'm going to take you along for the journey. I just did the unboxing video that I will post before this one, but I'm very excited. I love this plane. I love flying wings in general. I think they're beautiful and they're a lot of fun to fly. They're generally forgiving as long as they don't have a high wing loading, meaning some of the bigger slope aircraft that are much bigger, 36 inches or so, they're pretty forgiving. You can do high alpha and still have control. They also have a lot of movement. This on the Elevons, this one itself is kind of heavy, and I'm not sure that it's going to be as forgiving, so we'll find that out. But I already gave my impressions. At first glance, this thing's gorgeous. I did put Velcro. It did not come with this model, but I put it underneath the battery, and you can see it's very secure. I did not like how it was only a strap installed, and my concern was hitting a circuit board was probably not a good idea. And so I did put Velcro underneath the battery, then I put a little foam block in between just to make sure that there's no movement against this circuit board. Other than that, this thing is stock. It does have a steerable nose wheel. I did not realize that. I put in the vertical fin. I will not fly this without this vertical fin. You can see online what happens. For some people, if you're doing a turn without this, you'll start to lose some directional stability, and it'll kind of go like a wobble, and then oftentimes you'll try to dive and kind of dip out of control. So it's not advised to fly without your vertical stabilizer for yaw direction, and it doesn't take much. You can see it's not very big, and they did a pretty good job. It's not terribly noticeable. I don't think it'll be that noticeable in the air anyway. I also opted to do my first flight with the wheels and the gear doors attached, primarily because I don't want to scratch up the bottom of the airframe. And also for this first flight, I'm gonna go ahead and elect to take off of concrete versus hand throwing. Things can go really wrong really quickly with a bad hand throw, if there's a gust of wind or if it's just not quite right, and maybe my throws and settings aren't quite honed in yet. And so for that reason, I'm gonna put the wheels on here, take off from the ground, and give myself a little bit more control of the situation for this first flight. Always critical is checking CG, which I did check that in the instructions, and it's kind of dummy proof as long as you're using the recommended battery, because you can't really move it around that much. So meaning there's really not a whole lot of displacement or weight shifting that can occur if you're using the battery that came with it or that they recommend. So I think I'm good there. Maybe the only other comment, setting up this aircraft in a transmitter that was given to me was surprisingly easy. I changed the model to B2, and then for aircraft type, I put in normal. I thought it would be Elevons, and what I mean by that is the direction of movement, but I just set normal and everything works as expected or as desired. And the other thing I did is 10% expo, 100% throws. So that's the movement. But for a flying wing, what's important, just like on any other airplane, when you do a right-hand turn, the right aileron goes up, left aileron goes down. I know these are not what you would call ailerons, but I'm just saying in terms of other aircraft. And when I put normal in the transmitter, I got the desired impact of right, left, and then up is all surfaces going up, and opposite down, all down. So I think we're good there on the settings. I also took the time to make sure that all the connections, very gently just touch them to make sure that they're all secured. I did have a Waco UMX show up one time that was disconnected, not a big deal, but don't assume that everything comes out of the box perfect. So there is sometimes human error or other, so always just double check at minimum your control surfaces, make sure those are secured. Center of gravity and the direction of movement of the control surfaces. So I'm pretty happy with this. This thing looks really, really cool, as you can see here. So I elected to fly here today. The poles are obviously not great, but it's gonna allow me to land any direction as the wind here is kind of variable. And then I'm hoping after I take off, I can walk over the grass here and maybe get some passes as I fly by myself. I don't intend to do anything crazy today. Today is I usually just make sure everything works, that if I need to move servos around, the direction, or I should say the limits, either more control or less control on the throws. That's kind of the purpose of this flight. And then also after every first flight, it's important just to double check, make sure everything's tight and it didn't vibrate loose. So that's the purpose of today. I'm gonna take off this direction and then I'll walk over to the grass and we'll see how this goes. Okay, looks way awesome. It was a little bit of a longer takeoff roll than I expected. I think it had a little bit of down into it. I need to take that out and trim it a little bit. Just trying to trim it, make sure that it's more or less hands off straight. I'm still holding a lot of back stick. Okay, that's about half throttle. Still wants to go down a little bit. Okay, it's pretty responsive. I feel that I have pretty good control over it. I'm gonna try to bring it a little bit closer to me. That's idle. Typically, you probably don't want to fly where there's so many poles and objects that you can hit. All right, now I'm going to set up for a little bit of a lower pass now that I don't have anything behind me. How cool is that? That is neat. Power up as I climb out. You don't want to get too slow when you're doing turns. I'm just set up to do another low pass. Looks really, really cool in the air. Okay, that's power off. Very, very cool. Powering back on. Now, most of the time I'm kind of flying around at half throttle. And it's moving pretty quick here. But for a demonstration, I'll go ahead and do a full power pass. And I want to see if there's any change in pitch. And I also just want to see how fast this thing is. So there's nobody behind me. Coming around. Get a little bit lower, then full throttle. And climb. Very stable. Very, very stable. Very, very cool in the sky with these clouds. Kind of pops. Looks unusual and neat. Do another pass. Another pass from the other direction here. Now it's not going to be as responsive if maybe compared to some prop planes. It's kind of that ducted fan delay. It still has plenty of power, especially if you've been flying for a while. You realize that a lot of ducted fans back in the day did not have very much power. They made a lot of noise but didn't go very fast. This does have a lot of power, but if you're used to a prop plane, it doesn't have the same performance that would. Now it's very slick and it's fast, but the power is not as responsive as some other planes. Okay, I'm getting warnings here about the battery. That's what my transmitter is telling me. It's not the best area to be dead sticking and gliding in, so I'm gonna make my way over to a landing area here. Try to keep a little bit of juice in case I have an overshoot. I need to go around. I'm gonna cut back on the power a little bit here. Try to conserve some juice until I get where I want to be positioned to try to land. I'm also aware that I have cars. I'm gonna stay away from cars. I don't see any people. And this is a really nice long area right here. Yeah, wind's kind of variable. Just keeping it high in case I have that throttle cut off. All right. I'm gonna land to the east, which is to the right of me. So this would be kind of like a final right here. I'm high, I just want to see what it's like for the wind. Okay, I'll be landing down this aisle here. It's probably about 5 to 10 gusting on my face right now. So I'm doing a crosswind, turning downwind. Base. And final. Whoop. All right, beautiful. A little bit of a hard landing there, but I love it. Hopefully I didn't scuff the wingtip. Looks good to me. Oh, I give it 2 thumbs up. This thing's awesome. If you don't have one, definitely consider it. It's a beautiful plane. It handles nicely. And then on future flights, I'll try some maneuvers. I don't plan to be doing loops and rolls, but just for the purposes of showing you what it's capable of doing, I will do that. But I think I'm gonna primarily just fly this thing scale in an environment where maybe I can get lower to the ground and not worry about poles and such. But this thing, it doesn't get much cooler than that. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I am trying to grow my channel. I am trying to get new models and share those with you as I pursue my passion. So hopefully feel free to make a comment if there's some ideas for other cool aircraft, any other flying wings, or anything that's micro, that scale is pretty cool. All right, I'll see you in the next one.